Hi everyone, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So we talked about many things yesterday, right? For example, async pipe, behavior subject, routing, ng on destroy life cycle hook. Can someone tell
Yes.
what is the usage of async pipe?
Without the subscription, if we want to get the value of an observable in HTML5, we'll be using one pipe called async pipe.
Very good. Yeah. Then what is behavior subject?
It is also an observable, but we
Okay.
need to provide one default value,
Okay.
and we can get value of behavior subject using the subscription method.
Okay.
We can get the current value of behavior subject using dot value.
Correct.
And if we want to update the value of behavior subject, we need to use dot next.
Super. Super. Yeah. So can someone tell me how many kinds of routing we can do in the HTML and in the TS file? Routing. I told you, right? In
Yes.
anchor link, there will be router.
Anchor link.
Yeah.
You need to define router link, then assign the path and create a file called app routing module.
Okay.
And for the path in routes, we'll be specifying some
Routes.
routes and need to load the component.
Okay. Okay. How can we do that in the TS file? That's for HTML file, right?
Yes. Import the router from @Angular router
Okay.
and that to be injected in the constructor.
Okay.
And we can navigate that method to the router and specify the path.
Correct. Correct. Can someone explain me what is ng on destroy lifecycle hook? Give me a moment. Yeah, can someone tell me about what is ng on destroy lifecycle hook? Ng on destroy.
It is the last life cycle hook.
Okay.
When the component is about to destroy, this life cycle hook get triggered.
Okay. And specifically
And
for
this is basically used for removing the subscriptions.
removing the subscriptions. And if any intervals are there in the component, those we can clear it out using the ng on destroy
Yes.
lifecycle hook.
ng on destroy method.
Let me recap for everyone. Okay. Some of the people didn't attend the class yesterday. So what
Okay.
is async pipe? Okay. So as you people already know, okay, if we want to create any observable, we will indicate with the observable and we will give off. Now this will be an observable, right? In order to get the data, whatever is stored in the observable, we use something called subscribe. So this dot so what you need to do, you need to just subscribe to it. This dot name dollar dot subscribe and get some data. Okay. And you can print this data from an observable. Okay. Saujanya, are you getting?
Yeah, yes, Anusha.
Yeah. You need to subscribe to the observable, then only you will get some data. Suppose if this some data you are getting from this observable, if you want to access it in the HTML, then there are two ways of doing it. Okay. One is creating one local variable, okay, and assigning whatever data we are getting. Assigning the data whatever we are getting from the observable, okay. And this local data, what you can do, you can use it in the HTML file, okay. Other than this, as creating a local variable, assigning the data, what you can do, you can just use one pipe called async pipe in the template, okay, which will make automatic subscription. The Angular does automatic subscriptions, and if any of the data is updated, these data will be updated and it will shown in the HTML. This is the use of async pipe in the Angular. Okay, suppose if we have an observable, in order to get the data from an observable, we need to subscribe to it. But if we want to access the observable data in the HTML, we can do it by using the async pipe. Okay. And next topic is behavior subject. What are behavior subject? Behavior subjects are also observables, but then we need to give some default value for this behavior subject, and it can be created like this: behavior subject of type number or string or object of anything you can give, equal to new behavior subject of, you need to give some default value for this behavior subject, okay. And these behavior subject, okay, we can get the value by using dot subscribe method, okay. You can see, you can use the subscribe method and you can get the data. Otherwise, you can get the current value of a behavior subject using dot value, just dot value, it will give the current data. If you want to update the value of an behavior subject, you can do it by using the dot next method. And if you are updating this method, and if you will get the current data, right, it will print Ramana. If you are updating it with the next data, if you take the current value, then it will be Ramana. Understood? Any doubt till here?
No.
Okay. So this is the behavior subject. Next one is routing. So we can do routing from two ways, one from HTML file and one from the TS file. Okay. For example, in the app component.html, what I have done, I have created one navbar which contains some unordered list. In that, there were 3 list items. In each of them were anchor links. For example, first component, second component, third component. And we need to give some path for this component. Suppose if we click on this component, right, where it should go. Suppose if I click on the second component, you are seeing, right, second component path is getting attached. If I click on third component, you see third path is getting attached. So that kind of the path as a router link, you will give it here, okay, in the HTML. Now what will be there, if you enable routing when you are creating Angular application, right, there will be one file created, app routing module.ps file. It is also a module file which is decorated with @ng module decorator, and there will be 2 things, imports and exports, and these are basically used for, these files are basically used for routing only purpose, okay. That's why you are creating a file name with app routing.module.ps. So here we will be creating some routes. So if I specify path, the first component, it should be the exact path which I have given in the HTML. Okay, this is the exact path which I have given in the HTML. So for this exact path, which component should be rendered, you will give it. For example, component. For the second path, if I click on the second component path, right, which component should be rendered, second component. Suppose if I give product component, if I give third components. So these are called routes, and it will be the array of paths, if you can check. So these routes, you will be importing it to the router modules, you will be exporting it, okay. For root indicates that this is the root routing module. For all the remaining routing modules, right, it will contain for child, okay. And export is that these routes will get attached to the routing module and will be passed to the other routing modules. So whenever other routing modules is exporting this router module, right, which is from Angular router, so already this root routes will be there, and additional child routes will get added. For example, I will show you in one component. You can see it, right? This is also one of the routing module, which is cross-cell.routing.module.ts. And you can see it's decorated with @ and it has two imports. Okay. And you can see I have created routes array, path, which is the path, and the component cross-cell component. Okay. And if you can check, router module, they were importing it from Angular router, and they are adding child, which is means that it's not a root routing module. Okay. So these routes will get attached to already existing routing module, and we are just exporting it. In the next routing module, these will be again exported. Some more child routes will get added, then again it will be exported. Any doubts, anyone? And if you are creating any routing module file, right, you need to include it in the module, in the inputs. Okay. All the modules only we will import and export. All the components, directives, and pipes we will declare. All the services we will give it in the providers. Any doubts till now, anyone? Any doubts?
No, Anusha.
Okay. Now what will happen? So in this app component, suppose if I click on this second component, right, it will just directly come to the app routing module. It will check this is the exact path. Okay. We have clicked, and it will load this second component. If you check this second component, what's there, you can just see some HTML second works. Okay. Now I will go, I will click on the second component. It's routed to this path. So this is the routing which we can do in the HTML. Okay. Now if we want to do the routing in the TS file, what we need to do, we need to include one router. Okay. Which is there from the Angular router. Okay. And this router, you need to inject it into the constructor. And this router provides one method called navigate. Okay. This dot router dot navigate, which takes the path, exact path. Suppose I have given the product here, right? It should be the exact path here. Product. So it will match, and this component will get rendered. This is how we will do it in the TS file. How we will do? We'll import router from the Angular router. We will inject it in the constructor, and it provides a method called navigate. In the navigate, we can give the path, and that path should exactly match with the routing module.ts path. And according to that path, whichever component is set, that component will get rendered in the DOM. Any doubts, anyone? Any doubts? Just till now.
No, Anusha.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we talked about NG on destroy lifecycle hook. Okay. Now what's happening? As I told, one second, where I have it. Just here I have it. Okay. Now what I have told, NG on destroy lifecycle hook, it is the last lifecycle hook, and its return type is void. In order to use this NG on destroy lifecycle hook, our class has to implement on destroy interface, and it provides this method. And in this will be called just when your component is about to destroy. Okay. And in this on destroy lifecycle, right, if you want to if you are making any subscriptions, if you want to remove those subscriptions, you will do it in the NG on destroy lifecycle hook. And if you are having any set intervals, and if you want to clear those set intervals, right, you will be using this NG on destroy lifecycle hook. Let me just show you how it will work and all. Let me just remove this line. Okay, now just load the component. Okay, now you can see uh, why NG on init lifecycle hook get called. Why ng on init lifecycle hook got triggered, right? And you are able to see ng on init of first component. Because it's the first lifecycle hook and it will get called only once. Are you people understanding or sleeping? Just say something. I will lose the interest. Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you are navigating away from this component, which means to say that whenever you are moving to the next component, this component will get destroyed. At that time, the ng on destroy lifecycle hook will be called. Okay. Now you can see I have cleared I have set one interval in this component. Even if I am navigating away, right, this interval will be keep on triggering for every 1 second. Okay. Now let me navigate to the second component. You can see, right, ng on destroy of the life cycle got triggered. Okay.
Yes.
So when the component is about to destroy, this life cycle hook get called. So if we want to clear any intervals or if we want to remove any subscriptions, right, these life cycle hook will be called and we can clear the intervals. And you can also see here, right, the ng interval is getting triggered again and again, even if we move to the second component. Okay. Now let me go to the first component. And this interval will be keep on triggering. Now, if I go to the second component, you can see the interval also stopped. So these kind of stuff we will be doing in ng on destroy lifecycle hook. Any doubts, anyone till now?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we will talk about can activate guard. Okay. Suppose, imagine you are a customer for Amazon. Okay. And there is also an admin page. Imagine that. Okay. So in order to log into an Amazon website, first what you need to do, you need to sign in into your account. Okay. Imagine there are two kinds of sign in. One sign in is for customers like us and one sign in is for admins. Admins like operator of this Amazon websites and all. Suppose, imagine if we sign in, okay, if we provide sign in of admin details and if we try to access, what should be happen? We shouldn't go to that particular page. Suppose what I am telling, what is the meaning of routing or the concept? Suppose if I am giving some details and clicking some button, it should navigate to the next page. Am I correct?
Yes.
Suppose if you give your details and if you are trying to navigate to the admin page, whether it's possible?
No.
No, that can be achieved by using routers. Router guards in Angular. Okay, route guards. Okay, that concept can be achieved by using route guards in Angular. Okay, how can you do that? So you need to create one service. Okay, let us create one service. So what will happen basically in the app routing.module file, right? You will give one extra parameter called can activate. Okay, can activate, what it does, it will take simply one service. Okay, now I'll just create one service and I'll just tell you. Hmm. How to save a service file?
Service.ts.
Custom.service.ts.
Yes.
Which decorator is useful for creating the services?
Injectable
Injectable.
At
At
the
the rate
rate of
injectable.
injectable decorator. Okay. And how we will give the class name? Class name. What name I have given?
Custom code.
Yeah, you will give custom
Custom code. Very.
Okay. Now, in order to implement the guards, right, if you are using the CanActivate, it just simply implements on CanActivate interface. Okay. Like ng on init, ng on changes, ng on destroy. There is also one interface called CanActivate. Okay. And whenever we are using this CanActivate, if you can see, it is using one function, right? What is that function?
CanActivate method return.
Yeah, it uses function called CanActivate function.
CanActivate
What is the
function.
return type of this function?
Boolean.
Boolean, which means that whether you can route to the particular component or not. Okay. Suppose if it is returning true, what is the meaning? You can route to that component. Okay. Return true meaning you can route to that component. Suppose if you are returning false, what's the meaning?
We cannot route to the. We cannot route to the.
Yes, even if you click on that component, right, button, when you are trying to navigate, the route will not happen. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll just take this method CanActivate. Okay. Now what I will do, I will just return false. Okay. And this is the, whenever any service is created, what we should do?
Should declare it.
Sorry.
Router. In router, we should declare it.
How it is
Provider.
router? What I am telling from starting, whenever any component or directive or pipe, any service is
Module.
created,
We
what
have to
we
declare
should
it
do?
in module.
Yeah.
Module.
Do we, will you provide this in the declaration block of a module? Or what you, where will you give?
We should providers. Providers.
Yeah, you need to give all kind of services in the providers. Okay. Now you can simply use your CanActivate guard here. Okay. You'll just give CanActivate and it will simply receive the service. Okay. Now what does this service is returning? What I have returned from this service method? What I have returned? What is the return type?
Boolean.
Correct. What is the value of that Boolean?
False.
False. Now route will happen or not?
No. No.
No. Okay. Now let me go to here. Okay. Let me just reload it. I have applied it for the first component, right? I'm just trying to pick the first component. You can see it's working or not. It's not working. Suppose if I click on the third component, it's working. If I click on first component, so since we are returning false always, okay, it is returning, the routing is not happening. Okay. Suppose now you check. Now I will return true. Okay. Which means that route will happen. Let me just reload. Now you can see, right?
Yes.
So using the route guards, you can just stop the navigation. And there are many different route guards available for different purposes. Okay. You need to understand and read them. Okay. But I can tell only one, right? I cannot tell everything. So if with this concept, if you try to understand and learn by yourself, it will be very useful and you will understand the concept very better way. Okay. Just watch some videos in the YouTube which says about different types of route cards and all. Then you will get some clear idea of what's happening. Any doubts, anyone in the route guards?
No.
Okay. Now we will talk about something called view encapsulation. Okay. Now this is my HTML file. Okay. Now I'll create one heading with my name. You are able to see, right? Now what I will do, I will give some class name. Okay. And for example, oh, no, wait. I'll just create one button. It will be better understandable. Okay, the same heading, I'll give it in app child as well. Since this app component is consuming app child, I can give it, right?
Yes, sir.
Now say it, Anusha from app child component is there. This is from parent component, correct? Now what
Yes.
I will do, I will apply some styles. Okay, this is the app component. So which style file it will, this component will refer to?
App tail component.css.
Component.css.
Yeah, app component.css file. Now what I will do for H1, I will give some background color. Okay, and I'll give some red. Okay, now if you can see, this is in red color. But you might be thinking, right? We have applied for H1, and in throughout the application, we have many H1 tags. Okay. Suppose in the CSS, what will happen in the directly in the HTML, you have the HTML file, you have the CSS file. If you are selecting the H1 tag directly, what will happen in the entire HTML file, whatever H1s are there, for all the H1s, the background color red will be applied. Am I correct?
Yes.
So now for this particular component only we are applying the background color. Okay. How Angular achieves this behavior is by using one mechanism called view encapsulation. Okay. It's called as view encapsulation. So what is view encapsulation basically? If you are trying to inspect this element, okay, and you can see whatever class I have applied as well. Okay. You are seeing the CSS, right? What I am doing, this is the arrow which is used for inspecting. Okay. You can just select it. The blue color indicates that you have selected it. You can go to the any element and you can pick it. Okay. Now you can see these are the styles. You can see the file name, right? app.component.css file. In that, what I have done for H1 tag, give a background color red. Correct.
Yes.
So what does this Angular do? This Angular by defaultly attaches one token for the same components. Suppose for app component, let me say create one H2. Okay. Now, okay, let me just apply some CSS. Now let us just inspect it. Okay. So these two are from same component, right? App component. You can see IKV-C23. You can see this one. I'll select IKV-C23. Correct. So for all the CSS classes, IDs, selectors, or anything, whatever it is there, it will attach one unique code. Okay, for that particular elements or classes or tags for the same component. Okay, this is how it will achieve the view encapsulation concept. Any doubts, anyone? Shall I repeat it again? Let me just create one more for child component. You will understand better. So for this H1, what I will do, okay, now you will see a different token will get attached to the child component and a different code token will get attached to the app component. Okay. Now let me reload this page. You can see it's already in yellow color. Now if I inspect this yellow color, right, you can see it is H1C22, correct?
Yes.
Now if I select the down one, what you can see, C23. So a different token will get attached for the each component. For component to component, there will be unique code. So that is the view encapsulation. Okay, view encapsulation meaning is that by default it contains three kinds of properties and we need to give it here. Okay, where you will go, here you will give as a one more parameter, view encapsulation. Yeah, encapsulation, and it is view encapsulation dot emulated. By default, the view encapsulation is of three types. Okay, emulated, none, and shadow DOM. Only this emulated and none are very useful. This emulated is the default. Suppose if you doesn't give encapsulation, right? By default, this component follows the emulated encapsulation, which means that it will attach a unique token for the each component in our Angular application. That is how the CSS was different for different components. Any doubts, anyone till now? Any doubts? No doubts, right? Now what we can do, we can just even off the encapsulation. Now what will happen, we will check. Okay, now I have created the H1 in child component as well, and CSS we have this. Now I will just comment out this coloring. Okay, now what I will do, by default what will be the value of the view encapsulation? By default what is the value? Just now I repeated, right?
Emulated.
Emulated, correct. Now we will give none. Okay, now let me just save the file and you can just check. Wait a second. See, whenever I have off the view encapsulation, what happened? The H1 tag for this here we have, for H1 tag what we have given, background color red we have given. And if you see the child component, have we given any CSS in the child component? No, right? Since the view encapsulation is off for all the in the entire application, for whatever H1 tags were there, for all of them the red color will be applied. Any doubts, anyone? Since we have off the view encapsulation, right? throughout the component, whatever H1 tags were there, for all of the H1 tags, what will happen? Background color will be applied. And you can see this background color is coming from app component.css file. Even if you select this, you can see app component.css file. If you just select this component, it is from same component. Suppose if I doesn't off the view encapsulation, okay. Now you can check. I'll not give this attribute, okay. Now you can see only this component has view encapsulation and you can see it, right? Token got attached. And now if you select this, nothing will be displayed. If you select this H1, you see the difference, right? App component CSS is getting shown whenever we are selected this. Whenever I have selected the child component H1, does it show the app component or any other component? Just say yes or no.